Were you late or on time?
I was on time.
Yeah, you sure? Mm-hmm. You sure? You sure?
It was like 4:01. But I was in the parking lot at 3:59. No, I was like in the parking lot at like 3:58.
All right, I feel like that's on time. So
That's early for me.
yeah, that's pretty
Let's
good.
be real.
You're above me now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so you don't have to do the intro. I feel little. I'm not gonna lie. That's my ego is saying no. Don't do that. I actually, not gonna lie, I used to be like that a little bit with like taller women. You know, I don't know if it's a man thing or me thing. I'll just put it on me. Probably a little intimidated by them, just being honest. Not like we're gonna get in the fisticuffs or anything, but just having a woman of stature looking down on you.
Like
It's an interesting feeling for a man.
Like an Amazonian woman?
I don't know. I don't know if that's nice or not, but definitely much taller than me. Like, I'm only 5'11", so this person's probably 6'3" I think. The person that I'm thinking of, but super nice, very good friend of mine. But it's just interesting being around taller women. What about you? Is there any How do you feel around taller people in general? Any kind of way?
I'm like 5'7". My ex-husband's like 6'2", 6'3". I don't know.
You like it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Women like taller men, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've dated, I think like 2 or 3 men that were shorter than me.
Mm.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. In what way?
I mean, I always like to wear flats, so that makes it easy. But I don't know. I think it's more of an ego thing of like...
For them?
Well, like maybe for me of like wondering how, I don't know, of like how it's perceived by like other people. I'm not like that anymore, but I remember being like that when I was younger.
Yeah.
Of like wanting to, like, I would set my mindset of like, I only want a man that is this tall or taller.
Yeah.
And then when I got older, I was like, listen, Linda, you can't box it out like that because you're missing out on good people based on height, which is not something that they can control.
Yeah.
But then when we're dealing with people with like Napoleon syndrome, then I'm just like, listen,
Yeah.
I don't care how short you are, you're not talking to me like that.
It's interesting that we have some weird parameters that we go by when we're a kid. But if you have any interest in how your child is going to turn out, you can factor it in. You know, it's fair for that to be a factor. Like, say if you want a tall child because you like, you know, for whatever reason, maybe you should look for a tall person. That's okay.
You know, my mom used to stretch my little brothers
His what?
so they would get taller.
Oh, yeah? That's interesting.
I guess are fucked up.
I just took my son to the doctor the other day, I think, for like his 2-year checkup, and they said based on his height, if you multiply a 2-year-old by whatever they are now, it'll show their height, and it basically says he's going to be my height, so I was pretty excited about that, considering, you know, his lineage is of short people, you know, stature. So I'm happy for that.
Yeah. Is it?
His mom comes from short people.
Okay, but his mom's not short.
She's pretty short. Shorter than you, me, us, like 5'4"-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, you want your guy to get some height. I don't know why that is. Like, it's in us, though. Want to be...
Well, I guess it's like the societal perception of height.
Yeah.
I guess, right?
Yeah. Even me, like, I want to be taller, and I'm taller than average. I'm only 5'11".
And then there are, like, I know, like, of insecurities of women that are taller than men.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, there's that double standard of, like, you know.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, because they really can only most likely date men that are shorter than them when they're, like, really tall.
Yeah,
you know?
It definitely shrinks the field of taller men.
Yeah.
And I've seen that people can be rude to tall women. I think of that insecurity, too. Like, I wasn't the type of person that would be insecure and project the insecurities. I probably would in little ways, but not in nasty ways. But I've seen people be nasty to taller women because, you know, they're uncomfortable around them or insecure. Just say, you know, not nice shit.
It's wild.
Yeah,
and petty and sad and pathetic.
Yeah, I feel bad for the person, but I could tell that she had received this sort of treatment most of her life, so she kind of brushed it off. But I could also tell she was over it, too. So it made me more aware of how I carry myself around women in particular in regard to that, as far as, what you say to them, because you think a small judgment like that doesn't impact people, but it does. Even though a trait of being tall is good in most cases, some people, it's been like weaponized against them, so they respond to it a certain way. So it's interesting.
And it's so wild that you say that, because like part of a conversation that I've been having throughout this past week is the whole concept of like weirdos, right? And people being eccentric or crazy. And something that comes up is like, I feel like the way that I am with like my crystals and my spiritual would be like considered eccentric, right? Then weirdos are whatever category we want to put weirdos in. But the wild thing is, why do we never refer to the people, like, when they say, like, hurt people, like, those are weirdos. Like, people who, like, or people who are jealous of somebody else's achievements or try to put other people down, like, that's a weirdo.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
is weird that because someone is doing better than you, you can't be like, oh, I can do better too, but instead you put yourself at, like, those people put themselves in that mindset of, like, I'm worth less because they are shining.
Yeah.
Like, that's weird.
Yeah, very. Yeah, from the outside in, it's funny because it's weird and normal at the same time.
Exactly.
Right?
That's
Yeah.
the thing is, like, we don't say that that's weird.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But that is weird.
Yeah.
That is weird that that people try to put others down because of their insecurities. That is weird. Man up, do the shit, grow, and you too can glow.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that crazy.
But now when I see people that do that, I recognize it instantly. There's no hiding that. I'm like, oh, that person's insecure and struggling and this and that. And I don't even really have a judgment about it, just because I'm like, what could you say? That person's in a place where they got so much work to do. There's nothing that you're going to say in that moment that's really going to be of any help. So say anything. It's like,
Yeah, sucks to be them, and keep the freedom train moving.
Yeah, but you describing yourself that way, I like that about you, because I feel like you're authentically you. Like that piece of you, maybe growing up, I don't know if you just recently got in touch with it or at what point, but it was probably always there, and maybe you had always been hiding from it. I'm just making assumptions, not telling what happened.
No, but it's wild because you're so on point, because like authentic me as a child was always punished for being authentic me. So I buried her to be in survival mode, to like fit in. And then like when I like in 2020, then during the pandemic, as I had my spiritual awakening, it was like just shedding that of like, what was I doing? I was like, I wasted so much time trying to be like everybody else. Like, and then it just like kind of just like felt gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're shedding that shell and becoming you. So when you do that, like, I recognize it, so I'm like happy for you, proud of you, like all the things when you see someone just being them, especially in the midst of people that are trapped and trying to be what the rest of the world wants you to be, for you to be you, and talk about everything that you talk about, like, you're free.
That's why I say the freedom train keeps moving.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but prior to this moment, I would have been an insecure person unknowingly, and probably would have critiqued that because I didn't know what it was. I don't know if you would call it, what do they say when you don't have some sort of fear, I guess, maybe? Not like an actual fear of you doing anything, but of the unknown. They say fear of the unknown. Just that, like not knowing that, oh, this woman's like stepping into her power, finding herself. I should support that, not for whatever reason condemn that because I'm not there, So yeah, when I see it, I recognize it. I'm like, good for you. Because, sometimes you'll be talking about things that I have no clue about, and I just listen because you're invested in it, so good for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that for you. All right, let's go. Welcome back to the show, everyone, here at the Awakened Avoidant with myself, Sean, and Miss Crystal Renee, your favorite crystal.
Hello.
Let's go.
So today is Understanding at a Glance. The root program is Understand and Verify. The archetype is the scientist. The triggers that keep us stuck there And not stuck as in like this like purgatory way, but stuck towards like, there's always growth, right? So in that ladder of growth, being stuck at this very spot would be objectivity and knowledge, aversion to subjectivity. The primary emotion is composed. So when you think of I guess when I hear composed, I think of balanced.
Yeah.
What do you? Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
What it's working on is understanding the why and how of things, letting go of bias and opinion to discover the truth of a matter, seeking knowledge to find solutions for suffering, innovation, and evolution. The media choices of someone that's at this level is documentaries, cerebral, psychological, thought-provoking, latest research, scientific. Physical manifestation is a heightened IQ, peak brain performance, mastery of concentration, health optimization due to knowledge. Ooh, I love this.
That sounds like the very moment I'm in,
Yes.
honestly. Not to, yeah, absolutely.
You know what's wild is I can also confirm that for you because it's what you just said, like maybe 2 minutes ago, about sometimes when I say things that you don't know, back in the day, like it would have made you feel uncomfortable, whereas now you can listen and embrace it. And that's literally what we were just saying.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why when it said, I'm like, I feel like I'm right there in that moment. And it feels good because that is freeing too, to allow someone else or everyone else to let everything just be, and not try to control or label or grab onto or put it in this box or that box. Like, just working on my own self is freeing as well.
So I do want to tap into when you say the labels, because there is, and I'm very big on the duality of things, right? So when we say labels, it is not to put things in a box, but it's just like we label plants, or when we forage, we have to know the different plants so we know what's poisonous and what's not poisonous,
Yeah.
And then I guess that goes into like kind of what we were talking to before we started the camera. About judging, because this is ultimately, that's what it feels like, is that what we're talking about is judging things to know if we want to pursue or stay away from, if we want to obtain more knowledge about this. And it's, going back to judging is vital, right? We have to, if we own a company and we are hiring people, we have to read the resume and judge whether they're going to be a good fit for us, You had, before you married your wife, you had to judge the shit out of her, right? Like,
I'm not saying that. I'm going to let you say that.
No, I don't mean it in a bad way, but like you judged her and was like, this is who I want to marry, right? The judgment was like, I love this person. So it's not like I don't mean it in a
No,
bad
I get it.
way.
And I'm going,
like,
whatever you say, I like that.
That's what I mean is like you picked her on purpose, you know? You were
I know
like,
what you mean.
She checks off all of these boxes. I want to be with this person. So it's just like judging doesn't have to be this judging in a negative way is like, oof, Sally wore pink today. She ain't sitting with us. Like, that's wild. But like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, that dumb shit. But yeah, so it's just like sometimes judging someone else's character, and it's not like, and sometimes judging can also be a way to see what is reflected back at us, right? So it's like if I see someone, I think I've given this example before, but like when it comes in terms of like shadow work of, there was one time I'm watching this show with my friends, we may have been smoking some things and getting the giggles and shit.
Yeah.
And there was, what is it? That show that's on MTV. I don't really watch
Sound like you're
TV
gonna say
anymore.
Rob Dyrdek.
Yes.
Ridiculousness?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I don't watch TV anymore, but this is like back in the day. But anyway, this was my first like realization of this. Was the one chick that has that ridiculous laugh.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I'm like, they had it on, and I was like, oh, I really don't want to watch this. Like her laugh is so annoying. And then, as we continue to smoke a little bit more and get a little bit more giggles, I laughed at something, and it sounded identical to hers. And I was like, oh shit. I don't like her laugh because I don't like my laugh.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about that is that your laugh is awesome. Your laugh makes me laugh. I feel like
People
your
say
laugh,
that, but I'm like, I sound like her, and it annoys the shit
yeah,
out
a
of
little
me.
bit.
So,
Chanel West Coast, yeah. Yeah, your laugh is like that, but it makes people laugh is because it's like, it's genuine, you know? It's just not, you're not like hiding behind it, and it sounds like it's like forcefully like coming out of you. It makes me laugh when I hear it, so yeah, I get it. But yeah, and I get the point that you were trying to make too.
Yeah.
And judgments are important. I guess when I say the labeling thing, I should, I guess, preface, I mean unfairly labeling. You know?
okay, yeah. I just like,
Unfairly
yeah.
labeling.
So just
without
like,
knowing what that is and, you know, putting it into a box. Like what I would have did to you when I was younger, as opposed to getting to know it and then saying, oh, it's that, not what I think it is.
yeah. No, you're right. Like I knew
Yeah.
that you didn't mean it in like, but I just want to put that out there that there is that duality of how, like when we talk about labels or judging and all of these things that people don't really, they hear something or manipulation. Like there's dualities to everything. Like we can manipulate people in positive ways,
Yeah.
and it's like manipulate them in a way to help them, like sometimes like mirror back to them and ask them questions where it can be in a way of exposing to them how great they are, where you can see it but they can't see it, so you have to figure out a way, like you already see the top, like you're like, I already know that you are great at this and this, but how do I say it in a way that you are going to comprehend it so that it can be reflected back to you, the greatness of what you are.
Yeah, explain mirroring real quick because, you know, the way you're describing and what we're talking about is perfect because you're saying there's a duality and most people have an aversion to certain words because you only know one side of it, you know? So when you hear judgment, you're like, no, I don't want to be that, but yeah, you got to judge a little bit or else. But explain mirroring because I know what that is a little bit now too. And knowing what it is, knowing that that is a form of manipulation because you're going into it like with a plan and knowing what you're trying to do to that person. So since you've done it, can you explain it a little bit?
So,
and how it's a positive as opposed to being negative?
So let's just say that I was looking at someone's birth chart and I was looking at their north node, which is where like when they're born, that is their north star. That is what they're supposed to strive to. My north node is in Aries, so I had to learn my life journey. Part of my life journey is to learn to be more assertive, to put myself first. And with that, if I manipulate myself. I intentionally try to manipulate myself with words of affirmation. I speak into my water. I do all sorts of things. My crystals are intentional. There is intention all throughout my day of trying to manipulate myself, trying to reprogram myself, trying to get rid of the old way of thinking that I am less than or whatever the nonsense that was reflected back to me as a child, back to the mirroring. It is, you know, when you say like back, me as a child learning to not be my authentic self because when I was, it was mirrored back to me that is bad. So it's like getting punished if I am too crystally. I'm a Leo rising, so it's kind of Leos in general. They are the performers and the sun and like shiny. Ooh, as I'm wearing yellow because it's Sunday.
Yeah.
But
you're full you these days.
yeah.
But go ahead.
But with that, it's the reprimand. You're being too much. But you need to put that light back in a box. So the reflection that I got is like, oh, I'm too much. That is not okay. You're not going to get love. People aren't going to love you or want to spend time with you if you are your authentic self. That is what it felt like being mirrored back to me as a child. So in order to being in survival mode and wanting to fit in, you know, I tucked the box in and just was like, I'm just going to wear what everybody else is wearing and do what everybody else is doing and go to the church everyone else is going and stand up and sit down and say the words and, you know.
Yeah, you became the person they wanted you to be. Yeah. But mirroring, like that part, what would that, you know what I mean? Because I know it's a thing that you do with a person and it's manipulation. So how would that play out in a session?
Okay.
Just so people know what mirroring is, because I don't know. I only recently found out what it is, and you know, when you hear it's like, I'm still a little bit like, you know, on the fence of understanding. Whether it's, I don't know. I mean, it's good, so, but go ahead.
Well, let's just say that you were telling me, like, okay.
Like, what is mirroring?
Okay. Let's, how do you feel about the piano?
I love the piano.
Why do you love the piano?
Because I taught myself how to do something that I hadn't known how to do previously. I'd always wanted to play the piano, and I seen someone playing it in, I think, high school, and I've always wanted to play it.
And what do you think, what level of piano playing do you think you're at?
1.
Why do you say that?
I'm at entry level for sure, because I don't know how to read music. I don't practice as often as I should. And I've never, no, I did take lessons, but because
Okay.
I'm a novice.
So,
Less than.
All right, so if your son were to play the piano, what level would he be at?
Right now? Somewhere below me.
What's below 1?
0, he might be in the negatives.
No, okay. So my point with that is I want to mirror back to you when you give yourself a 1, right? Because we can't say like he's at a 0. He can, if he's gonna play some keyboards, he's at a 1, right?
Yeah.
He played notes, so he's not at a 0.
Yeah.
He did something, right? So mirroring that back to you is like that's not the right placement for you. Right? You have to give yourself some more credit because he is at a 1.
I got
You
you.
have had lessons, you spent time, maybe you don't think that you have spent as much time as you could, but also I want to reflect back to you that you are a full-time husband, a full-time dad, a full-time entrepreneur, all of these things. So give yourself some more grace and put yourself a little bit higher on the scale because you can play songs. You don't have to be performing at a concert to be at a 7 or a 10 or whatever the case may be.
You just killed that shit. Okay. Yeah, you just killed that. Good for you. Holy shit. That was impressive. You just took you just did it. You just made something out of nothing for sure because, you just snatched that out of the air and made it work and completely described it. Good for you. You're on it.
Thank you.
Keep going. Keep talking. I'm just gonna be
No,
quiet.
that was my point. Is like
great
making
point, though.
sure that people can see. Like I already knew, so that's why I chose the piano because.
Oh, you set me up. You're manipulating me. Okay. Okay. Yeah. But it's working, so there you go. That's a proof. That's good manipulation. Good for you. Holy, see these mind games people play? I'm confused. You got a leg up on everyone. You're playing 3D chess out here with people. But yeah, it works.
We can't air this.
It's good. It's definitely airing.
Oh, my Linda.
But no, that's good. Everything, all of it. It's amazing. And you proved the point to people what mirroring is. You just proved it to me for sure. I need to, raise my ranking a little bit. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
You're the best manipulator I know. Thank you.
No, let's stop. Let's talk about the duality of manipulation before we put this out there.
You're the best good manipulator I know.
Yeah. Like, oh my God. Oh, my Linda.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
All right, so let's go back. Let's continue.
Okay.
Where were we?
You wanted me to explain mirroring, so we did an exercise.
What was my point about that? That was such a good segment. I just broke it all down. Just pull a word out, and we'll continue.
Yeah.
Because I really don't know how we got there.
Seek to understand the truth without bias or opinion. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I guess that is like I was talking to a friend the other day, and they were like, I don't agree with 100%. He was like, I agree with most of what you said, but not 100%. And I was like, good. I was like, you should never, ever agree with me 100%. Or anyone, even yourself.
It's a nice way to put that. I like that person. That would be someone you want to be around and communicate with because that's a thoughtful response.
I loved it. And I explained, I was like, listen, I love that because I don't think that you should agree with me, yourself, anyone 100% because that's critical thinking. If you just agree with anything anyone says, that's how you get manipulated. That is how, in a negative way. In a negative way.
We're playing a fine line with this manipulation word, you see?
like in a negative way,
Yeah, I get
right? So it's just like, because I'm trying to bring something to attention that highlights you, right? But there are people that can manipulate you in a bad way to make it seem as if you are not as good as you are.
Yeah, I
and
totally
that's the effed up way, when people are projecting how they feel about themselves onto other people. Well, I guess,
It's an interesting space to be in, though, isn't it, for you personally? You know,
what do you mean?
I'm assuming, because it's like it's a tactic that a person would use in coaching, and then it's like, you know what I mean? It's a fine line of when and how you use it. It's like you could weaponize it if you chose to, but you don't. You know, it's like there's power in the ability and skill that you have there, and it's interesting.
Which leads to discernment, right? Because that was something we were also talking about earlier, is that discernment, right? So it's like, even when if I'm going, so like I do tarot readings, I do oracle readings, I also watch other people do them, I also get them from other people. But like, let's just say we're on TikTok and I'm going through, like looking through tarot readers, or like wanting to get in your reading, I'm gonna sit in that room and I'm gonna watch for a little bit and see if the reading, like what the energy is like in the virtual space, and then also see what the energy is of the reader, because there are certain times where and this is my personal opinion, is that everyone should, if you are getting readings, kind of learn about tarot, because you want to also be able to have that discernment. So that's why the knowledge is, community is vital, because we can share knowledge, but there's also part of that discernment is getting your own knowledge as well. So if you know a little bit about tarot, then when you can see other people's readings, you can see how they are manipulating the energy of, because there's some people that are bitter and have, they're going through heartbreak, and then when they do readings, you better leave him, he's gonna cheat on you, just like he did, blah, blah, blah. That's all they see when they read the cards. All they see, every relationship reading they're doing, someone's cheating, someone's doing that. They're like, and it's just like,
Putting too much of themselves into it.
Exactly. So that's where like discernment comes from, and really paying attention, and it's kind of like studying people and judging them, right? To see if you want to work with them, if you trust them to give you an authentic reading, because sometimes there are times where you can get a reading for someone and then see it's a projection of how they feel about themselves, or them being frustrated. I remember I had gotten coached by someone one time, and they were a spiritual teacher of sorts, and they were asking me about what I want to do, and I was explaining it to them, and let me just tell you, it triggered the poop out of them. And I was just like, and they were giving me advice, and I was just like, because I realized that they were triggered, I could take in their advice without it penetrating me and holding me back and keeping me in a space of feeling small, where I could see like, ooh, I see where your trigger came in from that. Because it was like some other things, like, because we were talking about like our children, and like he had been with like a toxic ex, and was also homeschooling his daughter. And at that time, I was like, listen, it was during the whole thing with my mom, and I was looking for guidance, because I was just like feeling guilty of, am I doing the right thing by keeping myself and my child away from my mom? Trying to see, is there a way to work things out? Am I being stubborn? So I was looking for other guidance, because I wanted to see my blind spots, or if it's just ego for me. So I just wanted to double check. But then this man lost his poop and was like, you don't really care about your daughter. If you're going to bring her into a toxic environment, you don't care about her. And I was just like, but he also didn't know the court stuff that was going on. It was a very brief conversation, and he was like, your mom's toxic, but you're going to think it. And I was like, well, we're going to court, and there's a potential that if she manipulates the situation to make it seem as I'm an unfit parent, having supervised visitation with my mom is better than unsupervised visitation, and are, potentially like possibly living there once or twice a week. Like, like the shit that was going on was crazy.
Yeah.
So I was just like trying to see the best in the situation, but just triggering him just totally unraveled the situation. And I was like, well, I can't really get advice from this man because he's emotionally unbalanced. So thanks for the lesson, I guess.
Appreciate that. Is that hard for you to do that? Like, when, I don't know, the spaces that you're in with the people that are emotionally invested in the things that they do, as far as energies and readings and things like that, and you guys are all kind of reading each other and getting a feel, is that draining at all?
So and you know what, it goes on the complete, so for me, it feels like it goes on complete opposites of the spectrum sometimes. It is, if you are dealing with someone that is like, and okay, so when we say healers, I personally think that we are all healers.
Yeah, we can be.
Yeah. 1,000%. I think that we all have something, we all have things that we've healed from and can help other people heal through whatever it is. But the people that are intentional about doing it as a profession, it can be really fun because they're, it's a quick conversation where you're not really explaining anything. Like that, you guys have your own. It's like kind of having your own, like two doctors talking to each other, or two nail technicians talking to each other. They know what the dip or whatever or the lingo is. So it is. So it's fun.
Never even thought about that.
Right?
You guys share time in the same space, so when you get there and meet, it's a melting of minds kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
Sharing tools and and understanding each other on that different level. But then healers need healers too, right? So it's just like there is not one person that is 100% healed. And there's never ever going to be a person that's 100% healed, because we still deal with ourselves and we deal with other humans, and no human is perfect. So not every human every human interaction is going to be helpful. Well, they're all helpful, but like, what I mean?
In a
like,
way you got to parse through, and I get it. Even when they don't feel helpful,
exactly,
they can be.
Yes, 1,000%. So with that is. Healers need healers too, and sometimes when I notice that, I can take it with a grain of salt, like, all right, you know what? I learned this and this and this from them. I see that they're struggling with that, and I hope they work through that, and if they need help with that and it's something I can help them with, I'd like to, but I've learned things from them. So I can take the messages that I need that were helpful, and the stuff that I know is like their own shit that they need to unpack, I can put that to the side.
I would say you just painted a beautiful picture of yourself being in the center of a space of understanding. Because for you to be aware enough and have the understanding and to give the grace to that person that is basically attacking you at the core of your most intimate pain, and for you to just let that person voice whatever grievance they're going through and to give them space to be that's amazing. Because, like, I'm describing that situation in a soft way, but if you weren't in a place of understanding, you'd snap out on that person. You know what I mean?
Wait, now I'm going to give
like
you an
example
example
black out
of
on
when I did snap out.
Yeah.
And I'm not even mad about myself. I'm not even mad at myself for this, because I was in someone's live and he was talking about like I'm listening to this person for like 15 minutes and I was just like, yes, everything that he was saying, I was like, this is great. Yes. And then he was talking about, actually, it was kind of about discernment of like, hey, when you hear about so-and-so saying, this is how I made $1 million, you don't know if they're faking it and they're just in a green screen or blah, blah, blah. And that's what he's talking about. And he's talking about like, the things that people say in front of a camera, when the camera goes off, you don't know if that's their real life.
Yeah.
So he's talking about all of these inspirational things, and I'm just like, yes. Then all of a sudden, I hear a baby in the background. He goes and gets the baby, holds up the baby, and tells the baby to shut up.
Oh no.
Let me just tell you, I was like, the universe, you are not fucking around today. You
Whoa.
basically, what this man was just talking about, the fakes and the phonies, I was like, that is what this man is doing, right? Pretending that he's all balanced and has all of this inspiration. But I was like, you need to work on your inner child. Who tells a baby to shut up? And he goes, his response from this balanced man is, just like I'm going to tell a woman to shut up, who comes in somebody's live and tells them what to do? I just clicked out because I was like, I'm not fitting in this circle. I hope it registers to him that he is an unhealthy, because it's not his child. It looks like he's an unhealthy grandparent.
Damn.
Yeah.
Baby to shut up.
Yeah, and this is like, it's not like a baby, but this baby couldn't walk, right? So it was like small enough that it couldn't walk, big enough that but it was just like, and then he was like, we're not doing this again. You know how this goes, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared for that baby. If the baby doesn't stop crying, are you gonna beat this baby? And it's just like, it is a baby. Like, who tells a baby to shut up? The baby is crying because some of its needs are not met, right?
Yeah.
Because that's all a baby can do.
Yeah, that's what babies do.
And I was just like, wow. And he literally was just speaking about when the cameras go off. Well, I was like, well, the cameras are still on, and we saw the mask drop real quick on you, sir. And the thing is, other people were asking him questions, and he had some of these smart ass answers to some of these people. And I get why he his responses, but it was still like, yeah, maybe you are not someone that people should be taking advice from at this moment. Because he did have some things that were great and some nice perspectives, and I was like, oh, yes. Yeah. And then it was just like, oof.
As we all do, see, that thing that he showed you was probably, obviously, a lapse in judgment, and I don't know, you just...
Seemed like his norm, though.
Yeah, it probably is, or definitely him not at his best, but, it's like, we're all that, like, we all can be that, like, that's in all of us, and we try to do the work to make sure that we're not that, like, all of us, good and bad, the duality in humans in general, so, like, even within people that are healing and doing all that, like, they can still be that too, but, we want to work to not be that. That's why you work on yourself, so you don't respond that way. But I noticed within this space, not agreeing with what he did, by the way, but, I noticed that in this space, there's a lot, because I saw you looking at me like, where's this going? I'm not trying to give the guy, I'm not trying to shoot him bail or give him a pass or anything, but there's I don't even know if we should go that direction, but there's a lot of that. I noticed that too. As we're doing this and trying to be real and authentic and looking out to see who else is doing that, and I'm starting to notice that I think a lot of people are just playing a character. It seems that way,
Well, I mean, think about the societal norm of fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of that,
right? Great Gatsby,
yeah.
Like that, like this has been something that our society has always been like, hey, like, and I mean, and maybe it is in the spiritual community too. Of when it comes to manifesting, right? When I think of when I'm setting my intentions, I try to think of what my, as a multimillionaire, what is my daily life going to be like, and trying to see how can I incorporate that now. So that is like a little bit of that faking till you make it, but it's like kind of like maybe not into the detriment of other people.
Yeah.
Sort
of. That's a
question
mark. That's a kind of, I don't know if I would label it that way personally, because you're not faking. It's not like you pulled up in a Lambo. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you're renting the shit and can barely pay the note.
But that would actually be a good way to manifest, though, to feel what it feels like to be in the Lambo, to drive the Lambo. Like, yeah, actually, because kind of me, like, yeah, when I am in that mindset of when I want it, like, cars are not my thing, so, like, I don't, I love my Honda Pilot. I do. Yeah. I love it. But if I were trying to manifest a car, like that's something that I would do, is go rent that car, go test drive it, go see what it feels like, smell what the leather smells like, so I can imagine myself driving it on a daily basis to and from work. No. Because let me just stop saying
You're
work.
You're about to go to the car lot tomorrow and getting something?
No, but first when I stopped myself is when I said work. Because entrepreneurship is my one goal, so I need to stop saying work, because that's not... I want that to be out of my vocabulary and out of my mindset.
Beat it into you. But you're showing up here and, working on developing yourself. And I wanted to tell you that the feedback that I get is pretty positive. You know, people like you. They love your opinions. That's why I share them with you, you know, through text message. And even though it's just the people in my radius, still, you know, it's good. It's supportive, and they don't know you, so it's genuine. You know, because if it wasn't, they would shit on you in a text thread. You know? And they don't.
Get her off of there.
Yeah, it's all positive. So people like you.
Cool.
You're doing a good job. All right, so
Thank
off
you.
topic real quick. I wanted to ask you a question because I think I heard you mention this a few times. Tapped in. What does tapped in mean to you?
Tapped into the energy, tapped into the frequency of the situation. Yeah, so it's kind of understanding something. So like a
I
lot,
like that.
right?
That might be the first time I ever heard that.
So a lot of the times when, like, if we think about vocabulary, right? Like, to understand something. Why would I want to understand something? I want to understand it and I want to overstand it. So to be tapped in is to understand it, to feel the frequency of what is going on, to be of that frequency, to be in alignment. And maybe not even alignment, but I guess like more back to more of the understanding of, yeah, like I'm tapped in, I could see that someone is not in their highest vibration, and maybe that's not someone, maybe it's someone I do normally like getting advice from, but I'm tapped in and feeling that they are really they're having a low day. So maybe not asking them for advice or burdening them with my own stuff is something that I want to do if I know that if they need more help than I do at the moment, right? So it's just like, okay, I'm sensing that something's wrong. Let me not burden them any further.
Yeah, I could see that. That'd be tapped into feeling and aware of what's going on around you. Yeah, I was just wondering. I don't know why I was thinking about that the other day. Tapped in. It's an interesting thing. I don't know. I don't even know if I can describe what I'm about to describe in any way that makes real sense. So I'm just going to throw a bunch of words out there. I kind of feel like everything around me is like math and numbers. That's kind of way.
We're going down that hole.
That's kind of just the way my life feels.
Mm-hmm.
And I am what I am now, and I actually love what I am now. But I probably could have been something different based on like what was my internal interest as a child, like doing experiments and just weird things like that. And things, numbers and like music to me can sometimes be represented in colors. And apparently that's a thing, but I didn't know it. Like I never talked to anyone. We'd like to thank you for tuning in to The Awakened Avoidant. We hope our convo has provided you with insight, inspiration, and healing energy. As you go about your week, let's continue to work together to heal ourselves and our community. Stay safe and continue to spread healing vibes wherever you go. Catch a new episode Wednesday weekly on all platforms.